I never thought rescuing a half-naked purple woman from a crashed ship would end with her screaming at me in a language that sounded like thunder having a tantrum. The desert wind burned my skin, the sun glared down like it wanted me dead, and she glared harder. Her chains were half melted when I found her, wrists bruised and eyes glowing with that dangerous mix of rage and disbelief. I should have just walked away, but she looked at me like a wild animal that didn't know if it should thank me or bite me. "Easy," I said, hands raised, dirt clinging to my sweat. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just, liberating." She hissed something sharp and stepped closer. Armor plates clinked, leather stretched, and I tried very hard not to notice that the alien metal barely covered enough to make eye contact possible. My brain screamed, "Don't stare, don't stare," but my eyes had other plans. Then she pointed at me, voice dripping venom. "You unchain me." "Yeah," I said. "You're welcome." Her lips curled. "Then you are now mine." My mouth went dry. I'm sorry, what?" Behind her, 4 more of her kind appeared. Same purple skin, same battle armor, same unimpressed looks. I suddenly felt like a shirtless idiot standing in front of a squad of intergalactic gym goddesses. They circled me. One sniffed. Another poked my shoulder like she was inspecting a new pet. The leader, the one I'd freed, grinned with teeth too sharp for comfort. "You freed a war slave," she said, walking slow, hips swaying like a challenge. "By law of the Zirathi, you are now her protector." "Protector," I echoed. "Look, I barely protect myself from sunburn, lady." "Then die with her," said another alien, almost cheerfully. That was the moment I realized 2 things. 1, these women weren't here to flirt, they were here to fight. And 2, my human survival instincts had a terrible sense of humor. "I think we got off on the wrong foot," I said, backing up. "Maybe I can buy you all coffee? Or alien coffee? Space latte?" The leader frowned, then glanced down at the sand splattered over my pants. "You offer drink after showing dirt to my face?" "Oh no, that's just a ground greeting, human custom." She blinked, then laughed, a low, dangerous sound that sent every rational thought in my head packing. "Strange male," she murmured. "Maybe worth keeping." And just like that she turned, shouting orders to her warriors in that thunder language again. They obeyed instantly, dragging debris away from the ship. Then she looked back at me. "You, human, named Trent," I said. "And you." She touched her chest proudly. "Zira, daughter of war, breaker of chains." I swallowed. "Cool, totally normal name." She smirked. "You will follow me now, Protector Trent, until you die or please me. Whichever comes first, I don't know if it was heat stroke, adrenaline, or sheer stupidity, but I actually followed her, half terrified, half curious, into a wrecked starship surrounded by purple women with attitude problems and abs sculpted by divine spite. Somewhere between survival and insanity, one thought crossed my mind. If this is what rescuing people gets me into, I'm never helping anyone again. The first thing I learned about Zirathi culture, they don't do thank you. They do rituals. Loud, confusing, slightly terrifying rituals. Zira led me through the half-broken starship, her hips swaying with warrior confidence. The others followed, silent, watchful, and definitely judging me. Every few seconds, one of them whispered something in their language, and they all giggled. I'm 90% sure they were talking about my lack of armor. "Protector," Zira barked. "You walk too slow." Are human males always this fragile? "Only the handsome ones," I said before my survival instinct could stop me. She turned sharply, those glowing eyes narrowing. "Handsome? Is this an insult or an offering?" "Let's say it's a cultural compliment," I muttered. She blinked, then gave the smallest smirk. I counted that as a win. Inside the ship, everything smelled like metal, smoke, and danger. The walls were carved with alien symbols that pulsed faintly as we passed. The floor vibrated beneath our feet, humming with some kind of power source still alive. And in the center of it all, an ancient-looking circular platform surrounded by blue flames. "This," Zira announced, "is where the Protector's oath is made." "Cool," I said, pretending to understand. "So, handshake? Blood oath? Maybe a pinky promise? She didn't laugh. Not even close. Instead, she took off one of her gauntlets and placed her bare hand over my chest. Her skin was warm, too warm, and the contact sent a jolt through me like someone plugged me into a star. By touch we bind, she said softly. By pulse we claim. Wait, claim? As in? Before I could finish, the platform flared, the ship trembled, and my vision filled with flashes of light. Zyra's voice echoed through my skull. You are bound to me, human. My enemies are yours. My pain, yours. My battle, yours. Okay, cool, great, I gasped. But does this binding come with dental coverage? The flames died out, leaving me dizzy and slightly singed. Zyra stepped back, eyes gleaming like molten silver. The other women clapped their hands against their armor, chanting something that sounded like, protect her, though with their accents it might have been, regret her. When the noise died, Zyra leaned closer. Now you are mine, Trent of Earth. Refuse my command and your body will burn with the oath. Wow, I said, romantic and threatening. You really know how to make a guy feel special. She tilted her head. Romantic? Is that your word for servitude? Close enough. She studied me a long moment, eyes flicking from my face to my chest like she was assessing a particularly stupid animal she might adopt. Then she said, you will rest in my quarters tonight. My brain immediately short-circuited. Wait, your quarters? Yes, she said, turning away. You are my protector. You must sleep close, so you may guard me. I tried to ignore the collective snickering of her warriors behind us. One even muttered something that sounded suspiciously like, lucky mammal. By the time we reached her chamber, I'd convinced myself this was fine. Totally professional. Just two warriors sharing sleeping space for safety. Nothing weird, nothing intimate. Then she began removing her armor. Whoa, wait, what are you doing? I stammered. Preparing to rest, she said matter-of-factly. We do not sleep in battle plates, or do humans rest in their shells? I mean, depends on the human, I muttered, looking anywhere but at her. Zyra climbed onto a bed made of what looked like molten rock and silk, gave me a look that said, try anything and die, and closed her eyes. I stood awkwardly at the door, trying not to think about the fact that I'd somehow gone from desert drifter to space bodyguard/alien roommate in under an hour. Trent, she murmured, eyes still closed. You will stay awake. Watch me, protect me. Right, I said softly. Protect you. Definitely not stare. Absolutely not stare. Her lips curved into a faint smile, like she knew exactly what I was thinking. And somewhere in the hum of the ship, under the faint purr of alien machinery, I realized I was in way deeper than I thought. Morning came with the sound of metal screaming and someone yelling my name in a tone that could melt steel. Protector Trent! Wake! I bolted upright, nearly face-planting into a wall. Zyra stood over me, already armored, looking like she'd slept on pure discipline and caffeine. I, on the other hand, had slept on a floor made of sand and bad decisions. Training begins, she declared. Training? I thought we were doing breakfast. She frowned. Breakfast? Yeah, you know, food, something edible. Coffee? Her frown deepened. You will eat victory when you earn it. Great. Alien planet, zero coffee. Truly a nightmare. Outside, her warriors formed a wide circle around us. They all looked eager, like, let's see the human die in 5 minutes, eager. Zyra threw me a long, curved blade that hummed faintly as I caught it. This is a Glavar, she said. It listens to your intent. Cool, I said, admiring it. It'll hear a lot of confusion then. She smirked. Fight me. Wait, what? No warm-up? No safety briefing? But she was already charging. I barely had time to dodge before her blade came down with enough force to decapitate a truck. Sand exploded around us. I stumbled back, waving my Glavar like an idiot trying to swat a fly made of rage. Good, she shouted, attacking again. You move like prey. That will make you unpredictable. Yeah, unpredictably terrified, I yelped, rolling aside. Her laughter echoed through the desert. The warriors cheered, shouting things that probably translated to, hit him harder. We fought, or rather, she demonstrated, and I tried not to die. Every time I dodged, she'd grin wider, like she enjoyed watching me sweat. I couldn't tell if this was training or flirting or both. At one point, she kicked sand into my chest, sending me sprawling. When I got up, I threw some back instinctively. A direct hit, right to her face. The entire camp went silent. Zira blinked, covered in mud and sand. Slowly, deliberately, she wiped it from her lips. "You dare!" "Instinct," I squeaked. "Pure survival instinct." Her nostrils flared. "You challenge me with dirt?" I braced for death. Instead, she burst out laughing. Full, wild laughter that made the other warriors stare. "You have spirit, human. I accept your insult." "That's good?" "It is strength and stupidity. I admire both." The crowd erupted into cheers again. Two aliens even patted me on the back so hard I nearly lost a lung. Zira leaned in close, voice low and teasing. "You fight poorly, but your defiance burns bright. Perhaps there is warrior blood under that fragile skin." "Well," I said, catching my breath, "I do lift occasionally." "Lift?" she repeated. "Ah, yes. Humans practice vanity rituals." "Excuse me, it's called fitness." She chuckled. "Then show me your ritual." "Lift." "Me." My brain short-circuited. "Lift. You." She crossed her arms expectantly. "If you can raise your protector, Queen, perhaps you are worthy of guarding her." The crowd started chanting again. Loud, rhythmic, way too encouraging. I sighed. "Fine. But if I throw out my back, I'm suing your planet." I stepped closer, placed my hands at her waist, warm, firm, terrifyingly close, and lifted. She was heavier than she looked. Or maybe my arms were weaker than I pretended. Either way, I managed to raise her a few inches before collapsing backward into the sand. The warriors howled with laughter. Zira stood over me, grinning like a victorious goddess. "You failed the lift, but you made me laugh. That is rare." "Glad to be your entertainment," I groaned. She crouched beside me, brushing sand off my chest. Her touch lingered just a second too long. "Perhaps," she murmured, "you will survive longer than I thought." I smiled weakly. "Is that a compliment?" "Or a warning," she said, standing. "We shall see which." As the warriors dispersed, still laughing, I lay there staring at the sky, wondering how my life had turned into a cosmic romantic comedy with weapons and sandburns. One thing was certain. If this was just training, I was terrified to see what bonding meant in Zarathi culture. By the next sunset, I'd learned 3 important lessons. 1, never trust an alien smile. It's probably a challenge. 2, Zarathi training doubles as torture with better choreography. And 3, apparently I was about to be crowned something called the War-Bound Protector. Zira stood before her warriors, radiant in the orange light, her armor glinting like molten steel. I stood beside her, shirtless, sunburned, and still unsure how I'd gone from accidental rescuer to interstellar eye candy. "This human," Zira declared, raising a hand toward me, "has endured pain, mockery, and my personal training, and yet he remains standing." The crowd cheered. I awkwardly waved, unsure if they were celebrating me or the fact that I hadn't died yet. Zira continued, her voice echoing through the desert. "By the law of chains broken, he is bound to our people. By the mark of battle, he becomes one with Zarathi blood." I leaned closer. "Does this involve, actual blood?" She smiled without looking at me. "You asked too late, human." Before I could protest, she drew her blade and sliced her palm. Purple sparks danced from the wound. Then she grabbed my wrist and did the same. "Ow! Hey, consent would have been nice." She pressed our palms together. The air vibrated, heat radiating between us. The sand around our feet shimmered like liquid glass. I felt something crawl up my arm, energy, alive and hot, and then her voice whispered in my mind. "You are one with me now. My shield, my sword, my mistake, perhaps." "Did you just call me your mistake?" I muttered. She smirked. "Translation imperfect." The warriors chanted louder, pounding their fists against their armor. Sparks flared into the air, and then, out of nowhere, someone placed a metal circlet on my head. It was too big, heavy, and smelled like ozone. I blinked. "Wait, Did someone just crown me? Zira stepped forward, proud and fierce. By ritual law, you are our war-bound protector, defender of the Zarathi sisterhood. The crowd roared. My brain froze. Wait, hold on. Defender? I don't even know how to use your fancy sword without tripping over it, one of the warriors shouted. Then learn fast, protector. War comes. War? Zira's grin widened. Do not fear. You have me to train you. Oh, great, I groaned, because that went so well last time. Laughter rolled through the crowd, but when it faded, Zira's gaze softened. Something rare, something almost human. You are brave, Trent of Earth. Foolish, reckless, but brave. I'll take it, I said. Low standards have always worked for me. She tilted her head, studying me. When I was enslaved, I believed all males weak, that they only take and destroy. Yet you freed me. You asked for nothing. That is not weakness. Her words hit harder than any punch she'd thrown. Hey, I said quietly, you don't owe me anything. You already nearly killed me 3 times. I think we're even. A laugh escaped her, genuine and light. Perhaps you are not as fragile as I thought. Maybe you're not as scary as you pretend. Her eyes narrowed playfully. Do not test that theory, human. But then, before I could respond, she stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat from her skin, smell the faint metallic scent of her armor. The crowd's voices faded into the wind. Protector, she whispered, there is one more rite left unfinished. Please tell me it's paperwork. Her lips curved. A kiss seals the bond. I blinked. What now? She leaned in, eyes locked on mine. It is symbolic. Nothing more. Yeah, I said, voice cracking. Symbols can be dangerous. Before I could talk myself out of it, her lips met mine, warm, electric, filled with the taste of something both alien and impossibly familiar. For one heartbeat, the world vanished. The crowd cheered, somewhere distant, but all I felt was her. When she pulled back, I was dazed. That was, very symbolic. She smirked. Do not make it awkward, human. You are my protector, not my consort. Right, I said quickly. Definitely not your consort. Totally not thinking about it either. She arched a brow. You are thinking about it. Am not. You are blushing. Your planet's too hot. The warriors laughed again, echoing across the desert. Zira turned to them, raising her sword high. Prepare the ship. The warbound rises again. They cheered in unison, moving with purpose. She looked back at me, half challenge, half affection. Come, Protector Trent. You wanted adventure, did you not? I sighed, grinning despite myself. I wanted a nap, actually. She chuckled. Too late for that. As we climbed aboard the repaired ship, the engines roared to life. Zira stood beside me at the controls, her hair whipping in the wind. You may yet regret saving me, she said softly. Probably, I said, but it's too late to ask for a refund. She smiled, eyes glinting like twin suns. Then fight with me, human. Protect my people, and perhaps, her gaze flicked to my lips again. I will teach you more of our symbols. The ship rose into the storm-filled sky, leaving the desert behind. My pulse thundered, my head spinning. Somewhere between disaster and destiny, I realized the truth. I hadn't just freed her. I'd accidentally married into an alien army. End of story. If you enjoyed this cosmic comedy of accidental heroism, defiant romance, and interplanetary misunderstandings, follow for part 2, The Protector's Honeymoon, or How to Survive Alien Royal Etiquette Without Dying or Kissing Too Much.